What is going on, everybody? So today I'm going to be going over pretty much all of last week's PA in one video. I didn't post all last week, starting back up this week, so there'll be a couple videos out tonight. But basically, I want to go through every single thing that I did last week within my trading and even a little bit farther than that and be fully transparent with everything because there was a couple of emotional trades that I took and it is why my account has not been passed. Now, I am still sitting at a balance of 52,747, and that is just because when I did actually take trades I liked, they won, and a lot of them won more than the emotional trades that I lost. So, just want to be totally transparent. But yeah, started off this eval super hot. Great win here. Really fucked up my risk on this trade. Still a really good win here, and then good wins on Tuesday. I believe the Tuesday that I'm pointing at right now. I entered a trade without a TP and stop loss and accident, so I exited and re-entered, so it counted as a trade. But good trades on Tuesday. Now Wednesday I took two losses. Thursday I took a loss and then a win. And Friday I took a loss and then a win. So these 2 days were break even days. This day was just a break even day. And then this day I had, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know, three trades or some shit. Totally emotional. Two of them were emotional and I didn't hold and it's just yada. Basically emotional. And then this day was also an emotional overtrade that ended up winning in my favor. But then refocused for August and we did start off hot with a $500 day. Now I did end up taking two trades and one of them I made 800 on and the other one I lost 300 on and that's why this is 520. And on the trade I lost, it actually did play out. I exited early and drawdown when I shouldn't have. So that was also basically an emotional trade. And but I refocused and then took an actual trade. I held it for my full RR and ended up winning. And I'm up 520 bucks on the week. Now, the overall P&L, like I said, is at 52,747. That means I only need a $250 winning day to pass this eval to get to the funded. Now, I should already have passed this eval, and the only reason why I haven't is solely because of emotional trading that I had the last 3 days. And what stemmed my emotional trading last 3 days, full transparency, is just there's so many setups that I want to happen, and I have them. I basically speak them into existence, and I'm like, I want to see this happen, and then I'm gonna enter, and I just don't get an entry, and then price plays without me, and it's basically me. It was me chasing price. It just kind of like built up, and I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna enter on my conviction because I know where price is going. I just don't have my valid entry, and then I end up exiting early on those trades because I snap back to reality. I'm not following my rules. That's why I just exit the trade because either profits or not profits, and it's just like you're not following rules, so lock back in. And that's what created those chasings of price. So you're not always gonna get entries, and that's why I want to be fully transparent in this video. But what I'm gonna do is go over all last week's PA day by day, just briefly. And yeah, so let's get into that. Alright, so starting on Monday on the higher time frame, we're really just gonna focus on NQ so it's easier for you guys to see on the charts. You can see that we've been very bearish, so I was looking for shorts. Still looking for shorts. I figured that this was going to be the end of our buy model to then even keep pushing lower. But Monday, what did Monday do? We opened up this massive NWOG. And I was like, let's go. I want to target this. And what did we do pre-market? Well, we traded higher right at 9 a.m. and then we dumped. And then when market opened, we had a little small baby pullback into a 3-minute gap, or not even maybe a 2-minute gap. This baby 2-minute gap, and we just oh wait, we actually got a pullback. Never mind, I'm wrong. But we traded higher into the now that's where I think there's a 3-minute, maybe a 4-minute. That's what it was, the 4-minute here. We tapped the NWOG, and some people actually got cooked here with a long here on the 1-minute, playing it as a Judas down up off the NWOG. I wanted to see that full NWOG get filled. And so we did end up actually pushing higher into this 4-minute gap. And there was like this 5-minute right above. And I wanted to see this 5-minute right above get hit, and we totally edged it. And so I did not enter on this displacing candle. Plus, when it does inverse, it's all the way down here. But anyways, I don't take this. And we just dump. So now I was waiting for a pullback, and right in here is when I was actually looking for a setup, and there was just nothing. We started generating some low resistance, we got some pullback, and I was like, I'm gonna enter a short here, and there was just straight nothing besides this 30-second right here, down here. And when this gets inversed right there, that's your inversion candle. It's just, I don't know, it was just weird. Just wasn't clean. I think there was a 15-second up here. No, there's not even like you only have like 15-second. And we hit a 5-minute finally, and I was like, I want to get a short, and there just wasn't any good entries. This is what I'm talking about by the entry. So I didn't get my entry here. So this is where my emotional trading later in the week got stemmed from, because I let this play an effect on my trading. Because I'm not getting the entries, even though I know where price wants to go, and I this is what I want to see happen. And we just dump, and I gotta watch price dump and dump, and we just literally just kept dumping all day. We ended up filling the NWOG, and we're taking out all this liquidity, and there's nothing. Then I started looking for a long just because of a rebalance play, and then whatever, but there was just nothing. And anyways, that was Monday, just straight scab. We just dumped all day. So those two trade ideas, though, is where it stemmed. A little bit of emotional trading you'll see later in the week, because I want to get it, and they both just played to my draw, right? They just tenfold. But so let's get into the next day. All right. So Tuesday, what I was looking for was more shorts. I wanted to see shorts. We're bearish, right? I wanna continue those shorts. 4-hour gap up here, and then on the hourly time frame, we had this hourly gap right here. I could see a trade off of, and then we were also in, I believe, this fresh new daily gap here, and it's also the 4-hour internal low. 4-hour internal low daily from all the way back here. So week from here could be bullish. We're also now starting to trade, or we were trading into the monthly, weekly. We're starting to hit this second monthly, right? This second monthly was right below us, and I wanted to see this second monthly gap get hit because that's where I thought our draw was. All I wanted to see was a little pullback higher to then get a trade lower. And then you can even see a 30-minute time frame accumulating. On the 15-minute time frame, we were in this 15-minute gap, so I was using this 15 as basically my objective of, do we blow through it or not? And price decides to wick up into nothing pretty much and just dump. So my trade idea yet again was there, and there's no entries. We did end up hitting a 4 3-minute gap yep, this 4-minute, and I was actually going to take an entry off this 4-minute once it formed. And why was I going to take an entry off this 4-minute? We started stalling out, we then traded higher into it, and then we got displacing candle out of it. And this is where another day stems of just no entries, because I have no inversion here. The candle takes my swing low, and it plays out to my full draw being that monthly gap. So it's a third trade that I wanted to see, and I just didn't get any entries. There's not even a 15-second gap you could take. This is pretty much just a really low time frame PDI. We accumulate, we trade higher with manipulation, and then we go lower, right? So wanted to see that and just didn't get anything. We blew through that 15-minute. So so then after that monthly gap got hit, I was pretty much just like, I don't really know what I want to see. We hit this monthly gap. We probably do want to go lower. I believe we opened a 15-minute gap. Yep, we opened up this 15-minute gap, and all I wanted to see was this 15-minute gap get just tapped a little bit and then get a trade off of it. And what did we do? We hit this 5-minute gap right here and respected it, and we traded lower off of it. And the inversion that traded lower off of it was like this, and your stops here, and your stop gets at it's just like, I want to see this 15-minute get hit. Oh my god. So we hit that 5, and that 15 minutes above forms. I wanted to wait for 10 a.m. to see what that, we hit that 15-minute gap. 10 a.m. opened higher. I was like, let's go. We get 10 a.m. PO3. We're going to open higher into this 15. Nope. Edge it. Don't even SMT anything. And you get this 1-minute inverse. But I'm just not taking this because we edged the 15-minute gap, and then it just dumps. So another trade that I just couldn't take, but it was my trade idea. And it's whatever. You just got to sit on your hands. So that's Monday and Tuesday. We just dump. So let's get into Wednesday. I'm trying to find out what I took, because it's not journaled, on 7/28. I went break even. And I was in it for 3 minutes. And there was this 2 minute Judas. I didn't trade Wednesday. On my dentist appointment. That's what Reese took. He took the pullback. So Wednesday, I didn't actually trade. So it's kind of weird that my Lucid is saying $3 because I don't really know. It's kind of weird. I don't actually know how I got $3 on the 28th. I didn't even trade the 28th. I had a dentist appointment and it was FOMC, but I'm gonna go over price because it was actually pretty good. So off open, you have two key levels. You have this hourly internal low below you, and then you also have this 30-minute gap right here. So you can use that 30-minute gap as your condition. Off open, we traded actually into the 30-minute, then dumped, then re-swept the 30-minute, and there was this 2-minute inversion on this baby gap right here. But a lot of people actually waited and they caught a 30-second like my buddy did, where we manipulated into this 2-minute gap, and then we had a 30-second inverse to the downside like this, and he ended up winning this trade right there. So the one day I didn't trade was actually really good. Moving on to Thursday, where I caught $564. So let's go over price. All right, so now you can see that we started having some bullish move here off of this monthly gap. You can see that the monthly gap started printing a wick here, and we are starting to have some movement to the buy side. One thing I want to mention is look at the monthly time frame, right? This is just an expansion to a retrace to now an expansion, which you'll see in my video for just today of how we literally just pumped. But anyways, big high time frame retrace, and you can just see on the daily time frame, this is just basically low resistance liquidity just on the daily time frame, right? So anyways, let's go to the 4-hour time frame here. We started making this push, and there wasn't really any bearish key levels to use on this day. So I was leaning bullish. We had all these nice fresh 1-hour gaps, and this is where we actually get a Judas that I fade. My buddy took it and won. I just didn't like it, and I'll go over why I didn't like it. But 15-minute time frame here, we opened up this 15-minute gap right at open. Let me straighten out these lines. We had all these fresh 1-hour gaps below. We are clearly bullish, and we have this accumulation period, and we basically have a Judas where we do this. There's a 30-second gap. You hit the 15, and you just target a 1-1. Now, there's reasons to take this trade, and there's reasons to fade this trade. And the reason I faded this trade was, one, you're hitting a 15-minute gap that's super premium, meaning we're super high up in this range with no rebalances. And you have all these fresh 1-hour gaps, 30-minute gaps, all right at your stop. So you have a bunch of key levels that you could get manipulated into. Even this 30-minute gap is like maybe, I don't know, 18 points away from a 30-minute gap as well. Do you hit a high time frame key level? Yes, being the 15. And is it good structure? Yes. It is a perfectly good structure trade, and you do hit a key level, and it does have some narrative in it. One thing I also didn't like though was our rejection wick on our inversion candle is a 27-point wick. Our body closure is only 11-point wick. So our body closure is only an 11-point candle, and our wick is a 27-point wick. So our wick is bigger than our inversion candle. Just a big no-no for me. And I faded, and it plays. So I was happy for my buddy and hit TP bag work. It's a good trade, just something I wasn't really comfortable putting risk on for. And then we end up trading higher. I catch a retrace, I believe, to the 5-minute. There's this 5-minute here. Oh, I know what. So this is what happened this day. So then I had this daily high marked out, and I could see this daily high being a point of rejection. What I mean by that is I could see us just start to get a reaction to retrace. We're taking out all this liquidity here. It's also a 1-hour internal high. So I could see us react off of that. But this is where I made my mistake, and this is why what hindered me on this week as well, and why I took so many trades. I marked this 4-hour internal high, or this 4-hour just high, as a target. And when I was doing when I was just trading, we hit this 4-hour high, and when I saw us hit my line that I had marked out, I thought it was the previous day high. We had a resweep And then I had a 30-second inversion here, like this, and I entered because I thought this was my daily high. We had good lows here, and it was leading up to a 5-minute gap. So this would just be a mech model rebalance. And price stops me out. Why? Because it's not previous day high, it was just a random high. And I learned that real quick. Luckily, I was under risk on this trade, and I only lost 300 bucks or 200 bucks. Then we actually hit previous day high, and I was looking for a trade, and nothing presented. And I was pissed because I was like, no way, there's no entry here. And there's no inversions to fucking inverse. And we literally just dump. And we literally play. So my trade idea was right. I got in early on accident because I thought it was my previous day high. And then we end up hitting previous day high. And you can see that my trade idea was right. And it's just a bummer. And then we hit a 15-minute gap. We didn't hit the 15-minute yet. Let me delete all these. We open up a 15-minute gap. I want to see the 15-minute get hit. Started generating some structure to the up to the downside, to targeting that 15, and we hit this 5-minute. And guess what? I was like, awesome sauce. I'm gonna take a short, and we get a. Let me see. Nope. So it was that one. Boom. So we hit this 5-minute. I have a 30-second inversion. It's a super baby candle, but it's everything I needed. 15-minute gap to target, 2 RR. I was gonna, oh my. I entered this trade so confident, and the worst possible thing could happen. We dump. Why is it not playing? There it goes. We dump. When we had this displacing candle, I was like, oh, we're going to smash this 15-minute gap. This is textbook. And I get wicked out at break even because I moved. This is the break even trade on this day. I got stopped out at break even. And the reason why I went break even is because ES took my 15-minute gap. So ES took this low right here, which ended up creating a SMT. So really good break even for me. I stopped myself from taking a loss. And my trade idea played is just ES was the more volatile pair at the time and hit the 15-minute before NQ. And then we ended up going higher. And NQ started pushing higher. This is where I took a trade on ES. So now this is where we go to ES. So ES was the one that hit the 15-minute gap. And then I got this nice strong 1-minute inversion to the upside. And I entered on ES for a long. As you can see, this trade idea plays to my 1-to-1. I did not take my profits at my 1-to-1, and here's why. NQ had this 4-hour right above, right here, and we were just pumping at the time. Just totally pumping. You can see us pumping. We're about to smash it. You can see, so the candle I'm hovering on ES right here, this up candle that takes out this high, is this candle right here. And I said, you know what? I'm going to hold until NQ hits this swing high, being the 4-hour gap. Guess what we did? We just chopped, and then we came lower, and I ended up taking a loss here or something. I believe it was took a loss here, and I was down, I think 500 on the day, something like that in total. And whatever, I took a loss. I really liked the trade, and it won. I was just trying to be a little bit more discretionary because there's 4 hours right here. I thought it was kind of automatic lock, and looking back, I should have just took my profits. But you know what? We live, we learn, and it was still a good trade to take. And I still think holding to that 4 hours is a pretty good play. But given the circumstances of me fucking up earlier in the day and losing a little bit of money, I think I should have just took my profits on this day. I took another trade, and that's why I made 560 bucks. While I was at work, I ended up catching a PM trade, which made me 500 on the whole day. I ended up risking a good amount, and I was super confident. And guess what? We finally hit this 4-hour gap that we edged. We are now in this bearish key level. We're super premium, and we ended up creating these 5-minute gaps below. And this was my draw right here. We had that 4-hour gap tap, like I said. We traded higher. We then create a low, which prints another 5-minute gap. Eventually, it opens up as a 5-minute while I'm in my trade. So then I also neglected it and I just held to my draw. But I get a 1-minute inverse to the downside right here. This was my entry. I had my stop at this high, and I targeted this 5-minute gap right here, and it was a perfect 1-to-1. And we chop, and we end up bang, TP smashed. This was at work actually. So I took a good trade. This was the best trade of the day, in my opinion. and I made back my losses plus some. So this is why I'm saying like, last week was such a hectic week, and I was all over the place. Even though a lot of the trades I took were good, a lot of the trades I took were mistakes or just emotional, and a lot of decisions I made were not the best. So that's why I should have passed my account last week and I didn't, and that's why I didn't because of my emotions and my just decision making last week was not A plus. So let's move into the last day of last week, being Friday, where I had a win and a loss. All right, so going into the day, we were super bullish. We were continuing this push upward, trading through this, and I had two conditions. We either reswept this and I got a short, or we come lower, we hit these gaps down here. There was a hourly, pretty much these gaps. I think there was a couple 30-minute gaps I had marked out and stuff. No, that was actually it. I wanted to see longs off this area price. We were trading in this 30-minute, but we were about to inverse it. And we were going to create this 15. So I had this 15-minute as a condition I wanted to see a trade off of to get a trade higher. And we pumped up higher. Great. Not an issue for me. We end up hitting a second 1 hour, being right here. And I was looking for shorts because this was my trade idea. And I didn't get any entries. I had my stop hunt, and I was looking for a 30-second here. We printed a low, reswapped, and we had no inversion. There was a 15-second, and I don't take 15 seconds. And this is the first 15-second I played, and I would have hit TP if I took this, and I just didn't take the 15-second, but it was a trade idea I wanted. And I want you guys to notice this is just a higher time frame PDI where we accumulate, we manipulate, and you'll see that we get a 15-minute inversion to the downside, and then we just flush lower to all these 4-hour gaps. So while this was happening, I was looking for shorts. I was still looking for shorts. I didn't really care about this 15-minute gap at all because to me, that 15 was just noise and we were just going to blow through it. So then I was looking for a bit of a pullback, which we end up getting into this 4-minute, I believe, or it might have been a 3-minute, maybe a 2-minute. No, no pullbacks. We just dumped actually. So there you go. We just dumped. So where I wanted to see get a trade off of, we just dumped. I got no entries. There was no pullbacks. There was just nada. We just dumped. And it's a little frustrating until we edged this 4-hour gap. And I was like, perfect. I'm going to get a little trade to that 4-hour. This is going to be awesome. We started accumulating. And then we just hit it. We hit 2-minute or 3-minute gap here. There's this 3-minute we hit. I don't even think there's a 5-minute. Hit this 4-minute. I don't remember. I just remember being so mad. We hit this 4-minute. I just wasn't taking a trade off of 4-minute, especially as discounted. And then also there was just no inversion. But this was literally what I wanted to see. We created lows, we edged our draw, and then we hit the 4-minute and we just dumped to it. And it's like, and then I was looking for a long off the 4-hour, and then there was nothing again, and it just went higher. And oh my gosh, the day was just so upsetting. And it was the second 15 that I played, and anyways, we just kept dumping, and then I was like, we hit this second 4-hour. We SMT'd this one on ES, and I was like, I'm gonna look for a long. I know I fast forward in price. We stalled out. I was like, I'm gonna get my trade now. It's gonna be a long. Yada, we're gonna target this 5-minute gap. There's also a 15-minute we can target. Let me delete some of this price. There's a 15 load. There's a 15-minute gap, 5 minutes, and I was like, all right, bet. Like, this is so textbook. We're slowing down. We're super discounted. We need to get some form of high time frame retrace. And I didn't get an entry besides a 15-second, and I didn't take it because it was a 15-second. And there was 3 trades this day that I wanted to take, and I couldn't take any of them because they were all 15 seconds. So we have that 5 minutes to target. A 15, I was wrong. It was not already there, but it was forming while we were in the trade, or we would have been in the trade. We got our stop hunt. There was no 30-second inversion here. I was looking for a 30-second inversion. There was this one here. And I don't know, I'm gonna be honest, I think because I was looking for an entry here, and there was only this 15-second right here, and I didn't want to take a 15-second, I was so caught up in this 15-second, I didn't even think about checking if there was just a higher gap above to take my entry on, and there was this 30-second, and this ends up playing. I would have got break even on it, but ends up playing. It's just like one of those days where I just get no entries and all my trades play. And that was Friday, and that sucks. But anyways, I just want to go over the whole week And there's a bunch of trade ideas that I had, and a lot of them played out. And the only trades that I did lose or lost money was because of unvalid setups that I took or little mistakes that I took. And they really do hinder your success in trading, and really just like life, anything you do, little mistakes, they snowball and they cause more and more issues. And that's what this whole week did, because the whole week I wanted these entries, never got any entries, and then today I'll go over it really fast. I end up taking a little bit of an emotional loss. I recollected my thoughts and then took a real trade. So we opened up this last night or 2 nights ago. It was Monday, not today. This happened Monday. I didn't trade today. So Monday, we go back to this. So we filled this MWOG and we were super bullish. So I still wanted to look for longs. And basically, I just wanted to see a little pullback lower. We created, I think, a 15-minute or something. We had this 15-minute inverse. There was some that we were trading in this 30-minute. Basically, I wanted to see legs get higher. Oh shit, fucked up again. So we were currently respecting this 30-minute gap, and I wanted to see either short off this internal high or basically a long off this, something like that. We're starting to be in that bullish structure. I didn't think we were going to go back to these lows or anything, so was looking for longs. And so off open, we were already at that 30-minute internal high at 9:18 a.m. And what did we do? We just dumped. So I was a little upset because I was like, well, great, we just dumped, right? We just had a dump. 9:30, we open lower. Great. I want to see a trade off of this. Don't get any entries again. So this is just like I've been getting so frustrated because there's just no valid entry for me again. It plays out because I had two conditions. Either we hit the 30-minute internal high, trade lower, or we hit the low and go higher. Well, we hit the low off open and we went higher. And I was just like, I want to take a long. Right here, we trade lower. I said, you've been having these 4-minute pullbacks so much. What did we do? We hit a 4-minute gap. This 30-minute was no issue for me, just given the 9:30 PO3. I knew my stop loss was protected. And I got a 30-second inverse from here. This was my 30-second. I was going to go break even once we took this swing. We generated low resistance liquidity. This wick prints, and you'll see on the 1-minute time frame, this candle prints. I was like, I should have stuck to my rules. I never really take 4 minutes. And I was in my head on this trade. I should not have taken this because I usually only take 5-minute cons, right? So I exit in drawdown here when I should have held because it didn't hit my break-even point. Guess what price did, guys? Would have went break-even on it, but a break-even is better than negative 200. And then it ends up slowly just chopping the TP. And the thing is, too, the 30-minute gap that was this high, I had no worries about. So I shouldn't even go break-even there. And what does price do? And continue to do for the rest of the day? Just pump. So I was like, fucking, of course, I was emotional, blah. So I recollected my thoughts. I knew we wanted to take out this high right here because we had all this low resistance just stacked. This is just a higher time frame manipulation again, where we wick lower and we just trade higher. So I was like, all right, I gotta wait for the 15-minute pullback, 5-minute pullback, and we don't create any 15-minute gaps, I don't think. We created this baby 5-minute, and no 15-minute gap gets created. So then I'm looking for my long opportunity, and I enter off of this 30-second inversion, but I wait a little bit for more confirmation. I think there was a 1-minute gap or something. There's something that I waited for. 30-second CISD off the 30 right here. So when we hit this 30-second gap and we got this CISD here, this is when I entered on this candle here. I had my stop at basically the wick. And then I held all the way to these highs, giving me 1.8 RR. This was my trade right here. This is what I took. And this is the trade I should have waited for. Now, given this trade ended up playing out, and I should not have been emotional exit early, and I would have hit TP or break even, either one. This is the better trade, and it's just 2A plus, knowing where price is going, and I hold through, and I held, and then once we got to here, I trailed my stop up to here at this swing low because we shouldn't return to this swing low. So I was guaranteed my profits back for the day. It would have been a break even day. And we just end up flushing higher, slowly, be smashed. And that's how I made my $520 today. So, or 2 days ago. And then I didn't trade Tuesday, but which is today when this video is coming out. But anyways, that's the whole last week of me not posting. And I know it's a long ass video, and I highly doubt a lot of people are gonna watch this. So it's like more for me, just to basically own up to my own personal mistakes from last week and to basically humble myself. But I'm feeling really confident about my trading right now. Like I said, I'm only $250 away from this account being passed, then I can start trading and fund it again. But I feel really good about what I want to see, my conviction and entering on it. It's just holding through and not being emotional while I'm in trades, and that's literally it. And that's literally what makes you a profitable day trader is being able to just control your emotions. And last week, I was kind of all over the place. So if you like this kind of content, if you made it this far, drop a comment. I really would appreciate it. And this is the reality of trading. This is the reality of someone who is getting better at trading every single day without all the just wins. Because everyone loves to post the wins and no one likes to post the losses. And that's why I wanted to make this video to humble myself and put out all of the real reality of my last week of trading, even though I made profits. And that's just because I know what I'm doing. And when I do know what I'm doing, I make more than the little mistakes I make. So, hope you guys like this content. And I'll see you guys in the next one. I will be also posting a video on just today's PA. Deuces.